Alright, what's going on everybody? Chili Games, welcome back to the channel. This behind gameplay is going to be the WIP B, and it's not my third game in it, but obviously if you're clicking on this video, it is for the carriers. Wargaming has released their first little video of carrier gameplay, and 100% before this starts, before we get into it, this is work in progress. Nothing is final, nothing is whatever. This is literally just like a 30-second clip of what they look like. They have also said that carriers will not be in 2020, looking at first quarter of 2021 for their first little debut. So before we get into it, let's watch the video real quick, and I'll shut up. Alright, so from what we can see here, we have the Ryujo at tier 5. We also have the Langley at tier 3. So what I think is going to happen, and from what we see here, it's going to be 3, 5, and 7 for the carriers. And also, if you notice right there, one torpedo hit that he has already, 7,000 damage. So obviously the torpedoes aren't going to be like super duper like insane. Obviously that was a tier 5. But yeah, that's all we have for carriers. What are my opinions? And I'm going to be honest. So, obviously, when I first started this game, when I first started watching it, I never played before. I never played the PC version. But I watched a lot of it, and it was very easy to see that carriers were kind of the word like sky cancer. So, and they ruin everyone's fun. Watching a lot of Flambass and Flamu. And Jingles. Jingles also calls it the fun police, which I think is pretty funny. I do think that on PC carriers are way too strong, and also if you've watched Flamu's latest video, he is a PC community contributor, one of the most well-known. I think he is the most popular. However, he posted a video about just how ridiculously funny it is to watch how broken carriers are right now. And so that now is coming to our game, and obviously, like, as a community contributor, someone who makes content for this video, how this game does and how, you know, it means a lot to my channel. So I was definitely against carriers at the beginning, and I have been for a while, but, and I will say but, I do not think they're going to be that strong in this version. Main reason why is obviously they have the feedback, and this is either going to be, they know that carriers are either going to be really good for them or really bad for their longevity of the game. I really do think they're going to play it safe at the beginning. So what does that mean? I think the biggest things for Legends, CVs, and carriers is that AA has to matter. If you watch Flamu's video, the carrier goes right past the Des Moines, Holland, which are both, I mean, the Des Moines on PC is the AA ship. The AA is very strong. It's a AA heavy cruiser. Holland is a destroyer that has really good AA, and it also drops a Montana, and it's just like the planes are just flying right through the flak, doing all these things, and it still gets, no matter what the AA for, like, rating is, the carrier basically always gets a strike. And for Legends, that can't happen. It has to be, this is all considering that your AA isn't destroyed, because you can get modules and secondaries like that destroyed throughout a battle. If you have 100% AA, and I'm in a technically AA ship, that has to make no fly zones for a carrier. Like, start of the game, the carrier should lose all of that squadron 100% if my AA is actually that good. It should be a deterrent, and it should make the carrier focus on lesser targets, maybe like spotting destroyers and all that kind of stuff, aside from just going straight to the battleships and cruisers for the damage. I think if AA actually matters, then and the carriers can't really do consistent damage no matter what, I think that'll be a great step in the right direction for carriers on Legends. And obviously, like, do I think carriers are going to be strong passively? Absolutely. I don't think they're going to have the insane offense and the same abilities that they have on PC. Absolutely not. But what's really going to happen is it's really going to change the meta. So as we speak currently, like, destroyers, like as we know it, have run Legends. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. Cruisers are definitely, they keep buffing cruisers a lot, but we're not really talking about that right now. Destroyers have gone unopposed for a very long time, and they've just been adding in radar after radar after radar to try and counter them. But for the most part, like, DDs and, you know, the secondaries, in my opinion, are still pretty trash on battleships, unless you have your 30-second glory button. So for about a year and a half now, destroyers have had their pick. So what do I think carriers are going to do for that? Obviously, I'm talking about a good carrier player. If a good carrier player on your team has great map awareness and knows that if the destroyers die, the enemy destroyers go down, then it's basically a win, and that goes for every game. So if the carriers are less effective against bigger targets like cruisers and battleships early on when they have maxed out AA and none of it's destroyed, this will entice them to actually just spot, and as a good player would do that anyways. You see a DD going into a cap, throw some planes over it, or whatever. Even if they don't, and actually in the video, I don't think they have rocket attack planes. I did not see the little icon. So even if it is just bombers and torpedo bombers, or torpedo planes, the amount of assistance that just spotting a DD can have on a game is going to be, it's going to ruin a lot of destroyer players in this game. I think, for the most part, carriers with just their inherent spotting ability are going to absolutely wreck at least 75% of the destroyer population, because everyone running around in Japanese destroyers who just run off and, you know, don't do anything but torp battleships, they are not going to know how to combat that. And then it's also like they've spent, you know, a year and a half just completely unspotted torping battleships. Now it's like, oh, there's planes that can just track me. So it's definitely going to be a huge meta changer just from that spotting ability, and I'm okay with that. I'm at the point in the game now, I love the game, but for everyone saying that they don't want carriers, my question is this: do you really want the game to continue the way it is? I mean, as it stands now, it's just, I don't know, we're kind of turning our wheels, and it's just not really much going on aside from extra radar, extra HE spam, battleships overpinned, secondaries still trash, destroyers running amok. I mean, it's been a year and a half, and I'm going to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of playing a game in Standard and seeing the same old, and with that being said, I realize that are carriers going to benefit me, you know, in a game-to-game basis? Absolutely. Are they going to absolutely suck in some games? Absolutely. Well, like, what do I mean by that? So, let's say that we already know how bad this game can be when the enemy team has great destroyers, they play the objective, they kill your destroyers, and your guys, you know, are struggling to figure out what their their throttle button is trying to go. That can already put you at a massive disadvantage in the game. Now, what about adding in, let's say your destroyers are trash, your friendly carrier is absolutely terrible at doing what a carrier can do, but the other team has great destroyers, and they also have a great carrier. Those games are going to absolutely suck because there's another huge disadvantage to anyone. Like, as a cruiser player, having that is going to be an absolute massive disadvantage for me, and even more for battleships. So, are those games going to suck? Absolutely. But I think destroyers need a constant thing to worry about, and I just think that it's due time. You know, radar is there, but I definitely play my fair share of DDs. I think, to be honest, I'm a cruiser main, I would say, but I could easily 50-50 destroyer and cruiser just because playing as a destroyer, it's much easier to sway the game into your favor, and I do like winning, and HE gets very boring. So you can play around radar. Obviously, you're going to get into games where there's a Wichita, Alaska, Cleveland, and you know, God knows what. Those kind of suck for sure. But you know, it's about time that as a DD player, you have to worry about something other than just, you know, being outspotted or just, you know, hiding the whole game. And another reason why, you know, carriers, to me, like, we've known carriers are going to come for quite a time now, and for me, I've been trying to be a more positive person, especially with, you know, with college ramping up and all these things. So it really does me absolutely no benefit to just wake up every morning and say, I hate carriers. I hate carriers. They're gonna ruin my day. What is the point of just being so negative about it? There's nothing I can do to influence their coming to the game. Obviously, am I going to be upset if it ruins the game? Yeah, sure. But there's nothing that I can say. Like, I can't be like, yo, Wargame, stop. Let's just not do that. Like, no. Like, I don't have that power. No one really has that power. Wargame is going to do what Wargame is going to do. So, obviously, I'm just trying to see the best in whatever the situation is going to be. I definitely do think they're going to play it safe because they know how serious of a topic this is. But we will see. I think, is Langley is British, right? And then the Ryujo is Japanese. So I think definitely the British. I would be severely shocked if we didn't have the USN carriers as well. So, and it's looking like tiers 3, 5, and 7. I think that's okay, except for tier 3. I don't really. What do carriers bring to tier 3? I just think, you know, the planes are going to be slow. They're going to be boring. And just honestly, tier 3 is just not my cup of tea at all, except for if I'm playing Nassau. And not a lot of ships have any AA at that tier, so it's like, why? Except for Texas at tier 4. So tier 3 is kind of like, why does tier 3 need carry? I mean, that's just weird. Like, you move up from tier 2 to tier 3, you're introduced to battleships. I think that's a hard enough counter in itself. Trust me, you know, we've all done it. Playing tier 2 for the first time, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Everyone's just running around. And then at tier 3, you're like, oh my god, I just got one-shotted by a battleship. That's a pretty significant skill gap to get past. Now there's going to be flipping carriers. I don't know about that. Tier 5 will be okay because there's you know, that's where they start to get some AA, and obviously tier 7. Oh boy. I mean, am I skeptical of how it's going to be released? Absolutely, but am I focusing on this is going to be terrible, this is going to be stupid, it's going to ruin my game? That thought is there, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not just going to 100% say that the whole time. Like, I am willing to be optimistic, and honestly, the biggest thing is, as this game comes to a close, during these test events, what we need the most, like what we all need to do as a community, is make a singular voice. If we want to change something, we can't all just be speaking out of term or whatever. We have to have concise feedback that's all on the same page, like, and just absolutely drill it. If they're too strong, we have to voice that constantly and concise to let them know no. You know, so I have confidence that we're going to be able to do that as this game comes to a close. That's my thoughts on carriers. They're coming. There's nothing we can do about it. So let's make the best of it, and let's just, you know, we all love this game, obviously, if we're still playing. So, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I will play them. I will experience them, and I will experience how to play against them. Obviously, I'm hurt that my Mogami is going to be getting nerfed because Mogami has trash AA, so that's going to just indirectly nerf a lot of ships that I like to play with bad AA. So there's that. But anyways, guys, thank you for hearing my thoughts on the carriers, and let me know what you think about them in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.